You're a fraud.
You're a liberal hack.
How you going? Long time no speak.
Long time no speak, but now back together again for a special director deep dive once more. We've just been, well, I have been over the last week catching up on the films of one Yorgos Lanthimos. And Nico, are you a fan of Yorgos?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'd obviously watched their film. No, I've only seen 3 of his films, so I can weigh in on the 3 main ones.
I think I've
the rest,
seen
I'll just
5, but like,
okay,
he doesn't have
Not a
that
competition.
many. No, not a competition, but he doesn't have that many. It's like once I was going through them and I realized like, oh yeah, I've pretty much seen them all, and those are the only 3 English language ones. Although his Greek ones are like exactly the same, even though you're reading subtitles and they're speaking Greek. They have the exact same tone and expression of character, which is really interesting. I didn't think it would be so clearly still his style, but it is.
Oh wow, yeah, he's got a very unique style, and you can honestly, I think at this stage, tell when you're watching a film, which is always great when you got like a director that's leaving their own personal mark on a film. So the 3 I've seen are The Lobster, The Favorite, and The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and I liked all 3 of them. And you've seen,
and I've also seen Alps and Dogtooth, which were, I think Dogtooth was the one that put him on the map. I think maybe it won the best foreign language film, possibly. I'd seen The Lobster, and that's all I had seen. And just one day I was like Killing of a Sacred Deer, and it was so good. I loved it. And then, so I just went through, watched The Favorite, and then Dogtooth and Alps. And yeah, I mean, he's 5 from 5 for me. I mean, he's a really special director. I mean, I know we say, yes, we like to see a director put their mark on a film and, stylistically recognizable as theirs. Sometimes I don't like it so much. I mean, we have some characters like Wes Anderson where I'm kind of sick of the style. After
yeah, right. Okay,
like
so you've really fallen off.
Yeah,
Wes,
yeah. Well, the thing is, I watched some of his other movies recently, like The Royal Tenenbaums, and I thought that was just like one of the best movies I had seen. But yeah, his later work, real diminishing returns for me. And Asteroid City was, again, just kind of like, he wasn't really offering me anything new. That's the kind of thing that I loved about his earlier films. Is there's new, fresh, like a completely different style, obviously, but just a voice as a director. And I know he's kind of like honed in on that. And if you're into the style, it's really, I assume, I mean, it's the same with Yorgos because he has such a distinct style. But for me, it works much better with Yorgos. I resonate with his, sort of view on the world more than Wes. And
they are a little similar though. Where's the style of especially the characters.
The way they're really muted.
Yeah. So that is interesting. I suppose because you used to like Wes Anderson. I suppose his latest. By latest, what do you mean? How late? From after Grand Budapest?
Okay, so yeah, I liked Grand Budapest. I do remember, but not as much. I think it sort of started with Moonrise Kingdom. It's kind of been diminishing returns since then. I really love his early work. Not so much Rushmore, but Royal Tenenbaums, Darjeeling Limited, Life Aquatic. They're all, some
I
of
didn't like Life Aquatic.
Oh, really?
I like the rest.
Yeah. But from probably Moonrise. Yeah, even Isle of Dogs I wasn't in love with. And Fantastic Mr. Fox is also good, charming, kind of kids film.
No, fair enough. We'll save it for the Wes.
Save it for we're talking about Yorgos, who, I'm not a hater at all. I'm massive fan. He's as I say, 5 from 5 from me. I think my favorite so far is The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
That's my favorite's The Favorite.
Oh, is it?
But The Killing of a Sacred Deer is a good op. Yeah, I'll let you go first. Fine. You're talking about
All right, well, Killing of a Sacred Deer. Just really cool. I like that it felt kind of like a fable, like an old witch's tale that you might have heard in like Eastern Europe or whatever. Barry Keoghan is awesome in it. I really like the just impending sense of fatalism going throughout it. Like they keep, bargaining. I mean, like all of his films, they're existential and about death, which is coming for all of us. But he really, well, maybe not. Maybe you could be the first one. What was I saying? Yeah, and Death
I
and
reckon
Loves.
Jesus would have gone close if they didn't crucify him. I reckon he had a good shot at living forever.
He does live forever in our hearts and in
Oh, in
heaven.
our hearts. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And I like the whole sort of end of the movie where it's like, yeah, all his family members are, going to die unless he chooses one of them to kill. And the way that, because of like the muted characters in such a horrible and surreal situation, I don't know, it just gets me to my core when it's like the little the son is like, oh dad, he's like crawling on bloody knees and he's like, dad, I watered the plants. And you're right, I am getting a haircut. And the daughter and the mother is like, look, if we're being logical here, we should kill one of the kids, we can always make more kids.
That's right.
And just the way that Colin Farrell's character has to deal with that, and the way it's taken so seriously. And then like a bit spoilers, but at the end where like instead of making a decision, he's just spinning around with the rifle, like blindfolded, just firing off at, trying to accidentally
like
kill
roulette
one of them.
kind of thing. Yeah.
And then
I do love how Barry just sort of matter of factly and as quickly as he can, because the whole play was, oh, you haven't got time for me, so I'm just going to quickly just blurt out the deal and the scenario. You got to kill one of your kids. This will happen. They'll start bleeding from the eyes. When that happens, it's irreversible. And remember how I said,
he's just so matter of fact about it. It's so creepy, and I don't know, it just feels so real. He's like, yeah, let's not fuck around. They're gonna die, so you got to choose one.
It was also a performance by Barry that really put him on the map for me as a really decent actor, and I think he's been fantastic since. So he was in Dunkirk. He was the kid in that. He was, I think he was really good in that. I think his role was sort of him and who was the old fellow on the boat? I can't
Mark Rylance.
Mark Rylance. I really liked how they sort of their two characters and basically their role in the movie. And then of course he was in something we watched recently.
Banshees.
What was it?
Banshees of Inisherin.
Banshees of Inisherin, and he was really fantastic in that too.
Oh yeah, he's kind of this steals the movie a little bit.
Yeah. So he's I think that was one of his first, if not.
I watched him recently in another one, Calm with Horses, which is kind of, I think I was talking to you about it. It's kind of like a Of Mice and Men situation. The main character is like a big, dumb, brutish guy with a heart of gold who wants to do good. So not really Of Mice and Men. What's a different one where they manipulate the bigger guy. And Barry Keoghan plays the manipulative, like using this big guy for his own nefarious ends. And he's like super, it's kind of reminds me of an Irish Animal Kingdom, because they're in like a gang and family and all that kind of stuff. And he exudes a real, like he's really good at
doing
playing a dumb guy, but also like cruel and like really dark and evil. But also he's just a fantastic actor. I think he's only like 30, so we're going to see heaps more of him, which is awesome. But yes, Killing's my favorite. Did you have a favorite? You said The Favorite is your favorite, so tell us about
the favorite. Yeah, to me it was sort of So I don't understand if you said, look, The Favorite was great, but it was less Yorgos and more sort of
I didn't
sort of
feel
like
that.
The Hotel. Oh, okay, no, it's cool. But
because people said
sort of,
like it's not as.
Me.
Sorry.
Yeah, so we're talking about Wes Anderson before. To me, this was his Budapest Hotel, if it makes sense. So something that was a lot more. What's it called? So for a larger audience than his previous work, if it makes sense.
For sure,
so
it was. Yeah,
The Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Lobster are very particular movies. You're not going to get people loving both of those movies.
No, you're not recommending them.
Lobster I liked enough, but it certainly wasn't my favorite movie. But the second watch, I sort of came around a lot more.
I really like
The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Yeah. I think it didn't. It sort of took me a while just to sort of get into his world, if that makes sense. I was just,
totally.
I sort of. Yeah, and then the second time I was like, okay, I get what you're doing, and it sort of translated a lot more.
Well, that's pretty much what happened with. Sorry, just quickly, I watched The Lobster like a couple of years ago and hadn't watched any more of his stuff, and then I watched, and I was like, it was good, but it didn't really click. And then I watched Killing of a Sacred Deer, and it really clicked, and I watched heaps more.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I think that's probably growing up too, but also I think I didn't really recognize what The Lobster had to say. Until the second watch, and that's not the director's fault. I think.
No, I mean, if you hadn't been exposed
hit you
to
over the head with.
Yorgos.
Yeah.
So anyway, favorite.
Yeah, sorry, the favorite. Yeah, so that I really love that, and I thought that was Olivia Colman's best performance that I've seen, and I know she's done some really. I think she's come from
Peep
Peep
Show.
Show, like part sort of like a sort of British comedic
Almost
actor
like
to like a
Pam from The
serious,
Office.
yeah, to a serious like heavy hitting. If she's in a movie, she's probably gonna be given a 10 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, well, she's
So
Oscar
since then,
nominated
she's
now.
done The Father.
Yeah, The
Is it?
Father.
Oh, sorry, The Father with Anthony Hopkins. There's a few others I can't remember, but she's really she's in the Crown, the latest
Mhm.
season. Fantastic as a queen, like she's really come into her own. So
No, I haven't seen her
and of
that
course,
much and stuff, but I like every time I do see her, it's and it's amazing to watch her go at like a later age as well, like 50 plus. She went from like respected British comedian and character actor to like a leading star of massive
yeah,
movies now.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean it's really cool, and she is like a phenomenal. She's so good as Queen Anne. It's like
yeah,
one of the weirdest performances, like all three of them, just like their
yeah,
relationships together. One of the weirdest movies, and like yeah, it's funny. It's like a lesbian all women movie, but it feels more just like a Yorgos psychological horror. I like that. Yeah, like Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone is so good. They get to play these like really multifaceted, like, and they're all kind of horrible and good in their own ways. They're just like
yeah.
really complex characters. And by the end, I didn't really know who to root for.
Well, that's right. That's the same with the Killing of a Sacred Deer, in that there's no real obvious hero or
Mhm.
protagonist. I don't think Colin Farrell's a great character, as in
No,
like
yeah,
you don't, you know what I mean? He's cold, he's calculating, he's
he's
sort
a
of
alcoholic who doesn't take any blame for any of his
yeah,
responsibilities, and like
right.
his solution at the end, instead of like, I suppose the ideal scenario is you step up and be a man and you make a decision and you kind of live with it, but instead he puts on a blindfold and spins in circles and like lets fate take care of it because he can't take responsibility. Yeah. And that's obviously with the death of Barry Keoghan's father. That's kind of the whole thing with Colin Farrell's character. He's not a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
character. I mean, he's a good
that's
character, but
right.
he's not good.
Yeah, he's not your yeah, you sort of find it, you certainly empathize, but
Oh,
to a
for
point
sure.
you kind of think that if and especially the sort of life they live compared to Barry Keoghan's
Mm.
character, which is sort of very slummy, lives with a
Hmm.
single mom, they're struggling. And yeah, I think that's yeah, he makes mention of it often that you got a perfect and beautiful life. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
just
so
sort of
creepy. The
yeah,
way
so yeah,
they deliver the dialogue is
yeah.
like Barry Keoghan, he's like when he's saying shit like he's been looking at my mother for months now with this deadpan expression. It's not true at all. Oh, when she's sucking on his fingers, and the whole, I love his style. Anyway, let's keep talking about the favorite, because I mean there's so
Yeah.
much you can say about the favorite. Emma Stone, I think that's her best performance for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember her as much. I really think I loved Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz, and I think Rachel Weisz hadn't been in much that I'd seen up
Mm.
until that point. As in, like
Oh,
she
sure.
she hadn't been in a lot of films.
I hadn't seen her in
So it's
stuff
great
in a
to see her
while.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
like
what I mean. In a
yeah.
while. So for them, they really were the two heavy hitters of the film.
Sure.
Just to me, Emma Stone was great too. She was you know what? That's probably fair. I was just trying to think of a better performance that she's done, and
I
I
mean,
don't think
she's
I can.
done good
I'm just
performances.
gonna
She's not,
give you that.
but yeah. Her accent work is remarkable because she sounds so much like Emma Stone if she was like raised in England. I know that's like the point of doing an accent, but often
Yeah.
it still feels affected, whatever accent an actor is doing. It feels like very naturalistic. So I was impressed by that, and just in general, I thought she was good.
Hmm.
And I,
Yeah, no. So I think so where I say, and obviously we sort of agree, but it's more, I suppose, accessible. Is that it's not a Yorgos take on a period drama. It's more a period drama first, and then there's sort of bites of dialogue, which is certainly Yorgos, but it's something like I don't know anyone that didn't like this film, whereas I'd
sure.
certainly have people that were like, oh, The Lobster, didn't translate for me.
Yeah, or
Same with Killing
certainly
of a Sacred
killing.
Deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's not the reason I like it more. I think it's just for me, it's a more complete film.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have also, I've kind of heard people say that it's like the least Yorgosy one, and I mean, just watching, I kind of watched them all over 5 days, so maybe it like blurred together, but I felt it was like not. I mean, obviously it's a period drama, but I would never really watch like a Jane Austen period drama. Like, that
True.
generally doesn't interest me. And this, grabbed me from like frame one. It just felt so much like a Yorgos film. Like, it's a comedy without any laughs.
Yeah.
It's about more things than any normal period. The only other period drama that has had a similar kind of impact on me is The Age of Innocence, Scorsese's period drama, because I just generally don't like period dramas, or when it can like fully transcend it and become like this beautiful masterpiece movie. Then I like it.
I think that's a good point you made just before as well. It's sort of there's no laugh track, as in there's no obvious time to think that that was a joke, and you just sort of laugh at it. You almost feel uncomfortable, and you're like, was
Yeah,
I not meant to laugh at that, or was that, you know what I mean? Like that, there's
totally.
no obvious point to say that was funny. What the hell?
Yeah,
It's sort
but
of like a
then
shock.
the whole thing
I,
seems funny in hindsight and ridiculous,
yeah,
and it's almost like a farce. But I don't
is it?
remember
Yeah, yeah.
laughing.
Yeah. No, I think when I was watching The Killing just the other day, gave it a second watch, and I sort of just laughed at a couple of bits, and I was just like, "Oh, that's just ridiculous. It's so funny." But it's just you feel like you're not meant to laugh, but
Totally.
at the same time, of course you are, because it's like a black, yeah. So, no, it's quite good.
Dogtooth
Same with
has a lot
favorite.
of that as well, which is it's basically like remember Josef Fritzl, the guy who kept his
The
daughters.
guy who kept all his kids in a
Yeah,
in a in
it's
a in a thing.
it's kind of like that. It's like this couple, like two middle-aged people, and they have three kids, two daughters and a son, and they're like early 20s, and they've like kept them inside their sort of fenced off property their whole lives, and it's just kind of goes into that in the
What does
classic
that tell
Yorgos
you about
style.
society? You don't remember the lady that comes in and cleans the office every single day, but you remember the guy that kept and bred his own kids in the
Yeah,
basement.
well, it was
Know him very well. Yeah, that's
it
great.
was shocking at the time. People were like,
Fritzl. Yeah, I know him.
"I'm going to remember that name. That's a crazy
Yeah.
thing for someone to do."
I was just like,
Uh,
why? I was just like, Fritzl. Why haven't I heard that name for a while? Oh yeah, old
Yeah, we
Fritzy.
don't
That's
talk about him as much anymore. It's not as politically correct, but it happened. It's history.
it
And
did. Yeah.
anyway, this is basically, and it's interesting because that's like such a fucked case. And it's not, I mean, it is as fucked. It's not, the movie isn't about like sexual molestation of your own children like that at all. But it's still like, extremely fucked up. It reminds me of, and it kind of, with this watch period I've been through, and some being other non-English pictures, it kind of reminds me of my Denis Villeneuve watch.
Mm.
And Dogtooth is similarly about a serious issue, like his university shooting movie was. But yeah, Yorgos handles it with such grace isn't the word, or like mastery, but like he has an ability to take that material, turn it kind of inoffensive, but then also the movie's still kind of like a dark mirror to our reality. So you're absorbing that kind of horrible situation, but still making it a worthwhile piece of art to enjoy. It's not just gratifying or
Yeah.
just going for like cheap. Like, I mean, obviously, if you make a movie
I
about
totally get that. Yeah.
a terror attack, it's going to be sad, but that seems cheap to me. We're in a way that like taking this horrible thing and making it like an interesting movie about all of existence. That's a
Yeah.
real master. That's Yorgos. He's all his
Yeah.
movies are about everything.
I get what you mean. No, I think there's a hint of comedy, and that is probably, you're saying he's not afraid to go where a lot of directors wouldn't go. Wouldn't go without treating it like they're walking on
Yeah,
eggshells. He's happy just to
totally.
crush those shells. Yeah, and just say, yeah, that's the sound they make. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's right. And he
So
makes you
yeah,
like
that's
hear
cool.
the sounds, but
Yeah.
I
Fair
think
enough.
because
I'll give it
all
a
of
watch.
the situations in all of his movies are so surreal, but the characters treat it as very mundane. And it's not like what they're doing is insane. It's like what they're doing is different from what we do in the real world. And I don't know, that like treating their what we consider surreal to be mundane, it kind of makes you look at your own mundane life and the weird things that you do that would be surreal if, you know, a camera was rolling. And I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to like, I mean, a small part of what he's trying to do is just highlight kind of how surreal and odd all of existence is. And he kind of does that with these, you know, fantastical situations.
I thought of just a scene from Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I was laughing at, but it came right after Barry Keoghan had just told Colin Farrell the situation. You have to kill one of your wife, or your two kids. It's retribution, it's justice, blah blah blah. And then there's a hard cut to him just getting escorted out of the hospital.
Oh yeah,
because it had Colin Farrell was just absorbing it, and then it was a hard cut to him just getting. It's just funny, right? Like,
it's very funny.
Hard cut, but it was it was like, whoa, like that was a massive revelation to the audience as to what's going on, and it's sort of told through a very comedic lens. It's very funny.
Oh, for sure. I can't even remember specific lines, but there's moments like where he's tied to the chair and beaten bloody, and he says something that's really serious, but it makes you like burst out laughing just because of the situation and how it's set up and how he delivers the lines. They become really funny. Or like, when the girl is trying to get him to lift the curse from her, she's like, "Hey, I've snuck out of bed. You and I can escape and like be boyfriend and girlfriend, but you got to lift the curse, otherwise this is not going to work."
That's right.
And it's so desperate and sad. She's like just trying to like get him to lift the curse. She's like, "Well, if you lift the curse, we could,
just take him." Yeah.
And it's so depressing and horrible, but it's like hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Absolutely. And I think, you see a jump when he starts writing his own movies. I think the early ones, he was just kind of a director, but I think with Dogtooth, he started being the writer as well. And there's, and so much more like, and yes, we do love that with a really good director that we like, where the entire movie is from the ground up, is just their vision. I think obviously that's probably the best way to make a movie. I suppose there are other directors who don't.
It's good when they've got something to say. It's also, obviously, horses for courses, because then you got other cases like Peter Jackson where he's got too much creative control. He needs some writers in the room just to say, hey, how about we just, settle on the amount of dwarves we got in the movie.
It's funny, Peter Jackson and George Lucas had such the same trajectory of like the lauded original trilogy, and then you do whatever you want, and the public going, what?
And then up until almost selling it to Disney/Amazon.
Oh my goodness. We could do a pod on the Lord of the Rings. Are you excited for season 2?
This is season 2? I thought it was cancelled.
No, they're like, this is our 8 years of Lord of the Rings show. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I only got through 2 episodes.
They're going for it. Yeah, I still got to watch the last 2 episodes.
You'll get it. It's like me with Ahsoka. I'm like, I'll watch the finale, but it's been like 3 weeks now, so I'll get around to it.
Yeah, you get around to it.
Anyway, we kind of like, this is he's got no bad ones, so like I can't even criticize. I think Alps was my least favorite, but it's possible I just didn't get the movie as well. I might need to watch it again, and maybe it'll be my favorite of his. But that one was just a bit of a. It's about this like secret group of people who, when somebody dies, they like hire themselves out to the family to pretend to be the deceased while they mourn. So they like go to their place like a couple hours, a few times a week.
But you would honestly ask me who would direct a film with that, it's like probably this guy.
And they don't even look like the people that are deceased, or they're not the same age or anything. But so like it kind of reminded me of Titane. Did you watch Titane, the one about the girl who has sex with the car, and then she like poses as this older French man's dead son, but he accepts her in the end as his dead son? It was very popular, like Twitter movie last. It kind of reminded me of that, where it's like it's very obviously they're not the deceased, but like the living accept them as such, just to kind of deal with their own grief. So it's about grief. It's about Yeah, well, I mean, that was the main theme I picked up on grief. And I mean, the people who are in the group are also kind of imbalanced as well. They're looking for a sense of
A
belonging,
car
like
fucking too.
a car fucking. No, they're looking for a sense of belonging. Like the woman who she's like pretending to be the 16-year-old girl. So she like starts going on dates with a boy from the 16-year-old school and like hanging out with her parents and watching movies. And they deliver like scripted dialogue that the parents have written. Like the parents burst into her room while she's like making out with the teenage boy, and they do like, "Oh, I didn't expect you home so soon, mom and dad." And it's a weird movie. I liked it a lot, and it has such a good ending, a final scene. But just it didn't feel as visionary and sort of. I mean, all of his other movies kind of feel almost perfect to me. Where I'm like, I totally get it from start to finish what he was going for. At least I think I do, and I enjoyed it the whole time. Whereas Alps, I was kind of confused and I'm not sure what he's saying here, but that could be a fault on my part. Still a really good movie.
No, totally. I think it's a similar. I'm not saying you're going to come around and whatever, but like, I think The Lobster, when I first watched that, it was a very similar experience in that I was just not translating what he was trying to say, which I got on the second time.
Yeah.
It was yeah, I think in terms of I much prefer Killing of the Sacred Deer to Lobster. Just I thought that kind of black comedy really was like
Mm.
got me, as in like I got that much quicker than I did the Lobster, where it was a bit more kind of what's it called, slapstick, like, you know what I mean? So like a little bit
Yeah.
more kind of obvious and like, okay, but
Mhm.
you like it the second time a bit more, I suppose.
I
But
mean, I
I
liked it
loved
the
it
first.
way more in his other film was a favorite, and Killing
And he's got a new one coming out soon.
translated for me.
You've seen
So what's the new film coming out?
it's Poor Things, and it's got quite the cast. Have you seen the
Oh,
trailers
really?
and such for it?
I have not seen a trailer for a while.
His film
I
Poor
can't
Things.
avoid trailers sometimes, like Killing
Yeah, I
of
know.
a Sacred Moon. What's it called?
Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah,
Killers of a
Killing of a
Sacred
Sacred
Deer.
Moon. Yeah.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah, I was trying to avoid more
Oh, but the
trailers, but
trailer's so
I've
good.
seen all of them now, and because they're ads for things, and I'm like, I
I know.
can't
You
skip
have
the
to
ad.
watch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, like, I've watched the first trailer for Killers maybe 30 times. It's like if there was a short film awards for trailers, that one would win one. Anyway, Poor
That's
Things.
just Sure Thing, or like a Sure Thing film award. So don't watch the
Y-
film and just give it the award for like best
Yeah,
short
yeah.
short price favorite.
Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe, and then a bunch of people I don't know. But that's pretty good. And
Yeah.
it's about it focuses on a young Victorian woman who, after being crudely resurrected by a scientist following her suicide, runs off with a debauched lawyer to embark on an odyssey of self-discovery and sexual liberation. So, it sounds interesting.
Very
It's
cool.
based on a novel.
I'll say this as well. I think he often gets repeat casts based on the actors know almost exactly what the director's trying to put out and
Mhm.
convey that. I don't think I've seen many that didn't really understand it. Maybe Nicole Kidman wasn't,
Nah, she's good. I thought she was
what I
good.
mean? Thought she was good. But Colin Farrell, like, I feel like he's just that they're on the same wavelength, and so that's why he's had Rachel Weisz. He's had he'll get Olivia Colman again at some point, and then Emma
Mhm.
Stone. They're on the same wavelength. They know exactly, which is also great because he's a Greek, so his first language, I imagine, is not English, right?
No,
Or is it?
yeah. No, I think he moved
So
to
he's able to convey
London.
what he wants from a cast, and they're able to translate it very
Yeah,
effectively. So it's
and yeah, I mean, I do like that and that used to be a thing back in the day, like a players troupe where like Shakespeare had like his favorite actors, and Tarantino does it, and plenty of directors do it. But it's interesting with Yorgos because he is so specific and so weird. It's like it makes
yeah.
like Colin Farrell and Rachel Weisz like more interesting to me. I'm like, oh, cool, you are really resonating clearly, and you're able to deliver perfectly what he wants. It's interesting. I wonder how like he picked Colin Farrell because Colin Farrell is so perfect for like. Is
Yeah,
that his
right.
English
Yeah.
language debut, The Lobster? I think so. Yeah, so he would have, and he just chose Colin Farrell, and he also had him in Killing, and he's beyond
He
perfect
had
for.
Brendan Gleeson in the film too, I think.
Did he?
The Lobster, or am I thinking of someone else?
I can't remember.
As a friend, or
It's been a while.
I was just thinking because they had a similar. Was In Bruges before then or
In
after?
Bruges was
Just
09,
thinking
so yeah,
before, yeah,
way before.
Lobster, yeah.
Yeah, like 6
So I was
years.
thinking that might have been a sort of okay. Look, I like this, and I like what they're kind of going for. I'll look it up because if I'm wrong, I'll feel like
yeah, the point doesn't really stand. But if you're right, it's a good point.
If I'm wrong, we can just edit that out, right?
No, I'm too lazy to edit it out.
Oh man, I'm completely wrong. He's not in that at all. John C.
Rachel
Reilly.
John C. Was he the friend?
Oh,
well.
God, yeah.
Maybe
I
he
don't
saw
know.
John
All
C.
right,
Reilly.
well,
Similar.
keep that in just so you can say it. Your co-host has got no idea what he's talking about.
The fans
He's not in
already
that at
know.
all. I don't know what I'm thinking of.
They've been in a couple together. So yeah, well, that's pretty much all I have to say on Yorgos. Didn't really get much into the thematics of it, but yeah, all his movies are just sort of about the same thing, existentialism and kind of. I mean, yeah, they're all genre picks as well, psychological thriller, horror, but they all kind of feel more like Yorgos movies than genre.
Yeah,
I don't think any of them is horror. They're all called horror, but I disagree.
No, I think it's a little bit of a horror. The Killing is certainly. The Lobster, obviously not really, but yeah, actually no, the other two obviously not at all. But no, The Killing is certainly. I'd classify that as. So there's a sense of dread the entire, or at least from when the kids start to not be able to move their legs.
It's true, and a lot of people say
dread's essential to horror.
Psychological thriller is not a real genre. Apparently, that's just. But yeah, psychological thriller is just a sort of subgenre of horror, which I guess kind of makes sense. But there's so many movies you would call psychological thriller that you need to anyway. Yeah, well, I guess that's pretty much all I have to say on Yorgos. You got any more Yorgos?
No, I think that's it. Not many films out, but he's certainly one that you sort of add to the list of obviously Paw Patrol coming out. What's it called? Poor something. You add it to your list of movies. Poor things that you wanna be watching.
Sit there
as soon as
for.
it comes out. So, and that's what happened with The Killing of. I sort of saw it at the cinema.
Oh, did you? Well, this will be my first. When is
so Oh, and then the favorite. So I mean, it's sort of added to the list of directors that you're excited to see their next piece.
Yeah, the pantheon of.
It sucks when we don't disagree, doesn't it?
Well, he's just a good director. Yeah, we agree, but he's just a great director, and I think if you haven't seen any of his movies, really, they're all worth checking out. They're all a good watch. So if you've only seen
next podcast, we're doing Greta Thunberg. Greta Gerwig.
I still need one more of her movies, I think. But yeah, time for Greta soon.
We disagree a couple on those. Stay tuned for that one, audience.
Yeah. All right.
It's going to be fireworks.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And we'll see you next time.